even now, a solid 15 years after GM essentially cleaned house after the financial crisis, car guys, car girls, car people in my business still occasionally debate on whether or not GM did the right thing by pulling the plug on Pontiac and saving this Buick. Mostly that has to do with the fact that we kind of liked Pontiac's vibe, right? The driving excitement and all that, even though, I mean, the G8 was spectacular, G6 not so much. But anyway, we've not yet come to a conclusion, but essentially a conclusion that's been made for us because Buick is still around. And for the first time maybe second time in those 15 years, I get it. And it's dawned on me where Buick is this past week, driving around in this 2024 Encore GX. And that is, it's obvious, right? It's the gap bridger between mainstream and luxury. But the problem with that is, as soon as you mention luxury, expectations rise very, very quickly. And as I was thinking about this, I realized that Buick is kind of the reverse of where Volkswagen was, say, about a decade ago, where it was premium mainstream, whereas this is entry-level luxury. So effectively, in a certain way, okay, so Volkswagen is no longer really, premium mainstream because you can buy a Kia with more equipment, more luxurious features, and you can, even Toyota has stepped up their interior, fit, finish, material game. All automakers are going premium, Mazda, for example. So Volkswagen has lost that. But what I'm trying to say is that if you, and I, of course, understand that Buick is just that first step, these vehicles make so much sense. Despite the fact, and I'm going to tell you now, the Encore GX is a brilliant little crossover. I really, really like it. But there's a stigma that comes with Buick. I don't have to spell it out for you, age problem, but that really remains the only thing. Think of that age problem with Buick the same as the perception that Hyundai and Kia products were cheap stuff, cheap vehicles, right? It's no longer the case. As I just mentioned, they're impressive. They're just in every respect. So once we get over Buick's, average buyer's age, which I don't recall exactly what it is. I should have checked that, but it must be well into the 60s. You actually come face to face with a very interesting product. And I'm not saying I'm excited about the Encore, but very shortly, in a few days, in fact, I'm going to be driving Buick's most promising SUV, or crossover, and I will obviously review it. So that'll be coming up shortly on Motor Illustrated's YouTube channel. But I can't help myself. Sidebar. I said, like 2 times, second time in the last 15 years that Buick's kind of wowed me is a strong word, but do we all recall the final generation Regal? What an awesome car that was, hatchback and everything. Oh, I loved it. I had so much hope for Buick then, and then, well, it went away. But that's just me, cars, SUVs, crossovers. Anyhow, in the following video, we're gonna talk about the Encore GX, obviously, do the quick few laps around it, because it's not a very big crossover. In fact, it's quite small, which is part of why it's fun. And then we're gonna take it for, well, a fun drive. So please, all 2 of you, 1, 2, 3, come on, of you, stick around for the remainder of the video. I'd really appreciate it. Right away, I have to say, the new Buick front end really, really works. I love the brow LEDs, daytime running lights. They've got, character, but not too much for what maybe we'd expect from Buick. But see, this is why they changed the logo, right? I was partial to the old logo because, well, it reminded me of the old Buicks that I love so much, the Roadmasters and so on. And it's really, really nice. It's got a nice blend of short overhangs, long wheelbase, just over 2.5 meters if memory serves. This is an ST model, which explains the black wheels and the roof rails. As you can see, ST, I'm not lying. And I really do like the rear tail light treatment and the faux diffuser in the back. It's got character. It really does. It looks like a little bulldog that wants to impress you, and well, so far it has for me anyway. Base price in the US for the front-wheel drive preferred is $25,600, and the top trim Avenir front-wheel drive in the US $31,900. In Canada, the preferred front-wheel drive, which is the only version you get with front-wheel drive as standard, is $29,649. And the Avenir, which is all-wheel drive standard, $39,410. That's a deal when you think about it, because a lot of mainstream small crossovers are priced exactly the same or even more expensive. The preferred gets 18-inch wheels as standard, 11-inch touchscreen display, an 8-inch digital instrument panel, heated steering wheel, remote start, Sirius satellite radio, so the level of equipment is really there. As I've told you, mine is an ST, or a Sport Touring, so all-wheel drive is standard. I told you about the roof rails. The power tailgate is standard, LEDs, leatherettes, what else? It's all part of that, including the all-wheel drive, which I just mentioned. $33,299. That spells bargain as far as I'm concerned. My tester has the Advanced Tech Pack and the Experience package, which kind of a weird name, but you get the sunroof and these 19-inch wheels, which are quite good looking, I have to say. And the color is very nice. It's called Cinnabar Metallic. So if you math all that up, you're looking at about $38,000, $39,000 total, which is not that much money for the amount of SUV you get. So let's do the interior tour. So power tailgate, as I mentioned. So 665 liters of boot space. That's really not that bad. I mean, I love that you have these little openings on the side, so you can fit, I think, a golf bag across. Maybe if you lower the 60-40 down one side, you can get two. There is a surprising amount of storage down here. It's decent, better than decent, in fact, for the overall size of this SUV. I mean, it's filthy. It rained earlier this week. In the back, which is a little bit dirty, you have room for two. I mean, I had both child seats, but I just didn't put the other one back in. So this time, anyway, you can't fit another person between the two seats when they're both there. The kids now love to read as we drive around. So, I mean, the rear end is completely occupied. And I will admit that the passenger front seat is moved far forward so that my son can get around back there when he's strapping himself in. But it works. If you're 4 adults, you will be comfortable. And you will enjoy, I mean, very tasteful fit finish. Leatherette is very nice. Switch gear is very smooth and works quite well. In the interior, the seats are fairly comfortable. Power adjustable with the lumbar support. And this is the new pièce de résistance there, the screen. So the 8-inch on this side and the 11 on the other side, all rolled into one. It really looks great. Well, I guess that's it for the outside. Let's just jump aboard. So there you go. So there's your display right there. This is your volume knob, which is kind of a nice touch, I have to admit, and the 11-inch display. So far, it's worked out quite nicely, I have to say. Oh, there you go, fuel consumption numbers. Now you know how much I'm averaging. Hard buttons, HVAC, single zone, so no dual zone, and there's no, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, but there's no temp reading, which is kind of strange, especially for something that is supposed to be modern and premium, but that does also show that this is an older generation type of vehicle. This always confuses me why you have to switch it on, switch it off, but because it's been nice all week, I keep it off. An actual shifter, good storage, wireless charger down here, decent storage over here. This is just that stuff under there. Great door bins, I have to say. Visibility is not that bad, despite the fact that the A-pillars are so huge at the base. You can still kind of look around, scooch around on that side. That is explained by the fact that, though it doesn't really look it from any angle, the windshield is not that raked. It's not that upright either, but look, steering wheel, very nice. Older design too, but it's still very functional, good grip, and it's heated, yay. But we don't need that right now. Should I show you the displays? I guess it doesn't really matter. So there you go. Yeah, this is the only button that's been kind of finicky all week. It's a little bit slow to react, but Anyhow, vehicle info, infotainment, it's all there. There's nothing much more to add to that, so let's just go for a drive. And so, actually I'm gonna turn the heated steering wheel on. So Buick is famous for its quiet tuning and noise cancellation, and all of that. And for the most part, even this entry level, not ridiculously expensive crossover is very quiet inside. I mean, even at highway speeds, it's not whisper quiet in here. You have to take into consideration the price point, but I'm gonna try and do that right now. And here we go. Okay, so I'm accelerating hard, I know, but the elephant in the room, which is about this big, is the standard and only offered turbocharged 1.3 liter 3-cylinder engine. Now, with only one exception that I can think of, GR Corolla, 3-cylinder engines have a very distinct, slightly tractor-ish type of noise, and it is and remains present in the Buick Encore GX. But if you've got music on, you won't hear it because it's just a light, low frequency rumble. But that's the only downside to the 3-cylinder, because I'm absolutely loving the 174 pound-feet of torque available from 1600 RPM. This thing only weighs like 33 or 3400 pounds, give or take, I forget. 3,300 pounds, I'm pretty sure about that. So this thing actually really quickly and with immediacy gets out of its own way. There's also 155 horsepower also available on tap. So I'm not kidding. I'm not joking around. This thing is a lot of fun. It won't pull hard forever. Small engine, small displacement. But in the city, it's actually a little bit dangerous how quickly you take off from the line. 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, I just recently reviewed a vehicle with a 9-speed automatic transmission, which drove me so insane that I didn't want to drive it for a little bit. But this one, in the Buick, it's beautiful. It shifts when I want it to shift. It doesn't disagree with me if I pull a quick stop, and it just goes. It shifts. Steering is fine. It's fairly light. There's nothing spectacular going on here. What more? Oh, the ride quality. I almost forgot about that. The ride quality is exceptional. Even with the 19s, it's a torsion beam suspension with a Watts linkage in the back. Essentially, it's just a semi-independent suspension in the rear with independent in the front. But I'm enjoying the handling. I'm enjoying the ride. It's very, very nice. Now, does that mean that I like old people comfort levels of riding? Well, maybe. But I'm not old, and I'm still having a lot of fun with this thing. It's really nice. Brake pedal feel is lovely. GM has historically been quite good at that, where minimal pedal effort for maximum immediate results. Look, I really like the small SUV, and I very much recall enjoying the Trax and the Trailblazer and any of these small GM SUVs. I'm talking a couple years ago, and it's no different in this vehicle. I really like it. Its main issue is just the logo, which shouldn't be, but it's what will deter people away from like a Q3, an Audi, and there's the price difference, of course, or even a Lexus UX, though I don't know, maybe I haven't driven the new BMW X2, but I think maybe it lines up somewhere with this. And then if you go a notch below-ish, but not quite, the Mazda CX-30 or even the Volkswagen Taos. So there's a lot of competition. And one of the things that this has going for it is the value proposition. Anyhow, that's it. I really like this thing. I thought I might, and I do.